Hi friends, good evening. Hope all of you are doing really good. So today's video is about what uh, career choices you have post qualification. I thought this is the right time to discuss this because results are due in a couple of weeks time, and once you qualify, obviously you have to celebrate. Like I said in my last video, you have to celebrate every success of yours, and this is going to be a very big one for you. A monkey is going to get off your back after 5 to 6 years. So I feel once you clear your exams, then the most crucial decision making is how you proceed with your career, and what kind of a job you start with has a big role to play, which I have seen personally with lots of students making wrong choices, and I don't want you to commit that mistake, and that is the whole objective of making this video. Obviously, once we qualify as a chartered accountant, we have innumerable options to choose from, but then there are very few uh, profiles which a chartered accountant should start with. That's what I feel. So let me put it like this: for people who have cleared in last 6 months, or people who are going to clear this time, or for even people who have cleared in last 2 3 4 years, this video I expect will be useful. So let me put it like this: I'm talking about a fresher right now, and if you are a fresher who has cleared a CA, one attempt, two attempts, okay, or maybe in extreme situation, even if you have taken 3 attempts, still this video should be helpful for you. Okay, so I always say like this, that when we are doing studies for CA, we are so much under pressure to clear the exam, that honestly speaking, I don't think many of us get this opportunity of really giving a deep thought that what I want to do after qualification. That is something which I think maybe 10 out of 100 people will be like mentally prepared what they want to do post qualification. 90 people will be like, पहले एक बार clear कर लेते हैं exam, then we will think what we want to do. There's nothing wrong about it, but then once you clear your exam, this has to be taken very seriously about how you want to start your career. So let me put it like this: if you are one of those people, which chunk of people fall into this bracket, wherein after clearing your exams you're still not very sure about the profile you want to go into, I always suggest start your career with Big Four Stat Audit. That is what I always suggest. So Stat Audit is one team which gives you kind of flexibility, that so let's say you join KPMG and you start with Stat Audit over there, and then let's say you serve there for 1.5 to 2 years, and this is the right time during this period of you working with one of the Big Four. This is the right time for you to decide whether you want to go for higher education, or you want to go for industry, or you want to go for your own practice, or you want to go into investment banking. So there are so many different alternatives that will come into your mind, but then I feel this is the right time for you to decide. But suppose if immediately after clearing your exam you step into a particular uh, segment in the industry, then the flexibility is lost. Okay, or let's say if after clearing you go into Big Four but you start with taxation. I have personally met so many of my students who have cleared their exams, then they have started with tax, uh, and then they, after a couple of years, they don't want to continue in tax consultancy. They are working in Big Four but they have gone into tax, and after 2 years they want to come out of taxation. I always say like this: getting into tax profile is as good as getting married. Because once you do it, you have to be committed for lifetime. Because you can't go into taxation consultancy and then come out of it and still expect to be paid as per your experience, because your experience is not going to count to the company who is hiring you if you want to change your profile to finance or accounts. Please understand that. So take taxation in Big Four only if you are very clear in your mind that you're going to continue with tax throughout your life. Yes, within tax, you can obviously shift from corporate tax to international taxation, or from international taxation, you can still think of moving into GST. That is still somewhat possible. But you doing taxation and then moving to stat audit is a little difficult. Please understand that. Just because in your articleship you have done 3.5 years of audit does not mean that. I have heard a lot of people saying this cliche statement: I have done 3.5 years of auditing, so I don't want to continue in audit. The audit exposure which you get during your articleship is drastically different from what you do in post qualification tenure. Okay, so let me put it like this. I always say there are two reasons why I want you to go into Big Four stat audit. Number one, if you're not very sure what you want to do in life, then stat audit is one such field which leaves enough flexibility at your end that during this period you can decide what ultimately you want to get into. Okay, and it has to be driven by your interest and your passion. That is always the first priority. Second is the working culture of Big Four plays a big role in transforming you into a top-notch professional. Understand that. They make you work very hard. There is proper delegation and specialization. There is somewhat politics also. There is work pressure. There are deadlines. You get well acquainted with all this. Okay, so if you're not very sure what you want to do, the safest alternative is to go for uh, stat audit in Big Four. That is first and the foremost choice for me. Okay, if you are, let's say, if you're decided you want to go into the practice, still I would suggest, let's say your father has a practice or your friends already have a practice, you want to join that, I would still suggest spend at least a year or a couple of years in Big Four and then move into your practice. Because when you go into Big Four, and again, as I told you, you get to learn so much over there, dealing with clients, dealing with deadlines, working under a lot of pressure, delegation, specialization, how to formally deal with data. And there are so many things that you learn, that when after a couple of years, with 2 years of experience, when you go into your practice, you can incorporate so much of your learning over there, and you bring in so much with you. Don't be complacent just because you have cleared CA you will be able to implement it right away in your practice. Never do that. First, clearing CA is one thing, but what you learn when you hit the floor in a corporate world is completely different. So experience of Big Four, learning of Big Four can be very well utilized in your practice. So try to think in those angles. What you should try to avoid as your first job profile is working in investment banking companies like JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs. I know some of you will be like, now not really happy with what I'm saying, but then I'm sharing experience being a finance faculty. I'm telling you this. Understand one thing. First of all, in investment banking is a very, very misused term, and the reason for it being misused is the exhaustive and comprehensive coverage of this particular profile, and a lot of people are selling it in name of investment banking, but the work which you are doing is just a back end work. It's more like what do I say, it's more like offshore work, wherein you are not directly contributing in the decision making, but you're just preparing some research reports which is just helping people working at the front end. And as a chartered accountant, this is the last thing I would like to do. I don't want to do that. If you seriously want to make a career in investment banking, understand in India there is only one way of achieving that, and that is by doing CA. After that, writing your CAT exams or GMAT and doing your MBA from top 20, top 30 B schools in India. That is when you can land up getting a good job in investment banking. Investment banking is a different topic of discussion, which will take me completely one session of 15 to 20 minutes to discuss. So right now I'm just telling you one thing. Make sure these names seriously sound so promising, but do not start your career by joining companies like Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley, because the job description will look very promising, will look very demanding, but then the work is not that great. Okay, whatever I'm sharing with you is based on my personal experiences, or is based on the thousands of students who I have taught and what kind of a feedback they give me. That is what I'm sharing in nutshell with you. Okay, yeah, any other profile, let's say tax, international tax, or GST, or internal audit. Okay, these profiles in big four are really good. Okay, I'm not saying you just need to do you have to get into big four. It's not like that. Even a mid-size firm, a decent mid-size firm, which gives you a good job opportunity, a good profile, a promising profile, that will also be a good job to put your hands into. Okay, so try to start with big four, and then over these 2 years try to figure out what you want to do, and then slowly you can shift. Like if you want to go into accountancy or finance in industry, then slowly from big four you can move into industry. And this badge of big four will all again play a big role in helping you get a good job opportunity. Your bargaining power increases as an experienced chartered accountant having a big four badge with you. Okay, so it's, don't think that you have to do something out of the box or something like different from the crowd. Everybody goes into big four, why should I also go into big four? Nothing like that. You should start with big four because that is where you learn a lot. Okay, uh, apart from this, some other profiles which I want to bring your attention to is in banking. Some people have a lot of interest in banking. In banking, I feel you should look for jobs in as credit analyst. That is to get an opportunity in loan sanction department. If that you can get, again, loan sanction, if you get, you should try to get loan sanction. Also happens at different levels. You should try to get into loan sanction department at corporate level, not at retail level. So if you get credit analyst position at corporate level funding, that will be again a very promising career, and you can straight away start with it. And this is very much connected to finance field. So finance again is a huge profile. There are so many different job opportunities over there. Credit analyst is one such field where you can explore. It's very good. Okay, you're not going to work as a relationship manager. Relationship manager is someone who goes and gets the business. That is for marketing guys to do, not for chartered accountants like us. So you have to go into credit analyst. Okay, small and medium enterprises funding is still fine, but don't go for retail funding like auto loans and all those things. Don't do that. So credit analyst is another very good profile to work for. Internal audit is also very good. I have seen many students who have recently qualified, who are new into post qualification. They find internal audit. They look at internal audit as a less of a profile, good profile, or they feel it's a little boring. It's not like that. Understanding of business models is something you can do best when you're doing internal audit, because you have to literally ransack into the company's affairs, and you understand the model of the company. This gives you a very good opportunity to understand business models, which again, the knowledge you can utilize in the industry, and your acceptance in the industry is very good. Okay, another profile which I personally love, and I always tell my students, so there are a few criterias you have to meet. I'll just specify those criterias. First is you should be qualified in first attempt, and second is you should have some big four exposure, maybe in your articleship or post qualification. Then there is a particular profile which is called as FAS, they call it Financial Advisory Services, or TAS, they call it as Transaction Advisory Services, very closely linked to investment banking. And Big Four, if you get this opportunity, make sure you get into it. Nothing like it. This is, you work as a due diligence auditor over there, and you are directly involved in valuation of companies going into merger, or company getting its own valuation done. Okay, so that this field is where you get the really good exposure in finance, because you get to work with people from IIM institutes and top 15-20 B school people you will find mostly over there. And you have chartered accountants with 5-10 years of experience, but they do need some freshers also, and people with first attempt and Big Four experience are first preferred. So this is one profile which is the best for me. Being a finance guy, I always have inclination for finance, so I feel in finance somebody wants to be very close to investment banking, very close to the exposure of investment banking, you should consider working in FAS, or as they call it TAS in KPMG, they call it TAS, and they call it FAS in PwC. This is another very good profile. Okay, I have a lot more to share with you. Like, I want to take one session on investment banking. I want to take one session on the educational wise, what more can be done after qualifying for CA. But I think we should make a different video on that. I'll again make a video on that, because we should not stretch this video beyond this. And if I have already told you in the earlier videos, you have my number with you. If you have any job in hand and you are perplexed about it, whether you should be doing it or not, you just are one message, I'm just one message away from you. You just need to do one thing: never miss on any interviews. Go for interview. Every interview teaches you something. And go for interview. Ask the HR to share JD with you, and you can always share that JD with me. Within 24 hours I will reply back and let you know whether that profile is promising or not. That is one unconditional help from my end I can do for anyone. Whether you have been my student in the past or not, does not matter. If you're listening to this video and you feel there is any help I can do for you, I'm available for that. Okay. One last thing which I wanted to specify is that in Big Four, there is a team called Global Sharing Services, GSS. Mainly EY has this practice and PwC has this practice. Okay, GSS, Global Sharing Services. Try to refrain from joining this particular department, because it is again a back-end kind of a job. They might pay you better than what people get in stat audit or internal audit or taxation, but then it's not the money which you need to see in the initial stage. It has to be the promising profile. Please understand, as a chartered accountant, the first thing you have to look for in your first job is the kind of profile you're getting. Even if I'm getting paid less, but the profile is very promising, I have a bright future awaiting for me. So I have to go by the profile and not by the pay packages. Please understand, a very attractive pay package, you got to reconsider the opportunity, because maybe that profile is not very promising. So global sharing services is one thing I personally am not very much in favor of, because you have less application of brains and the job is more of a clerical kind of a job for people who are already working in it. Sorry, no offense, I'm just trying to be transparent, and this is my limited knowledge, and whatever I have understood from the market, overall market, and whatever I have got as a feedback from people who are already working in these profiles, I just shared all that with you. Okay, so I'll make a video again very soon. Till then, bye bye. God bless all.